New Zealand har siden 80'erne foretaget en social koldbøtte. En liberalistisk politik medførte omfattende privatiseringer. Blandt andet forsøgte man at drive sundhedssektoren som forretning. Det lykkedes ikke. Efter store menneskelige og økonomiske omkostninger er man vendt tilbage til hospitaler som offentlig service. Men prisen var høj, og der er lang vej igen, før New Zealand atter er et velfærdssamfund.
In the early 1990s, I went to America for 3 years, and when I came back, I could barely recognise the New Zealand healthcare system. I just was completely blown away.
The claims that were made for the health reforms in New Zealand were the same sort of claims that were made for privatising our railways, our airline, our electricity system. We were told that if our hospitals competed against each other, if our doctors and nurses competed against each other, that they would have an incentive to provide a better quality health service to New Zealanders.
And they completely changed the direction of New Zealand from a caring welfare state to a right-wing individualistic state where you look after yourselves, where the state was considered to be something bad. We were told that the state had to get out of people's lives, that we had to make our own lives, we had to make our own decisions. I sailed out of Liverpool for 5 or 6 years, and at a ship's party I met a girl who I eventually married, and unfortunately the first child that was born was a microcephalic. Johnny came along and he was also a microcephalic, and when Johnny was 6 months old she got out of bed and dressed Marita and put a bottle in Johnny's mouth and walked out, and we never seen her again. I was treated very well by the Department of Social Welfare. But as the years went by and more people got on unemployment, more people got on the DPB, I noticed that the service that we got became less and less.
Vi kom til New Zealand i august 2000 for at realisere en af vores gamle drømme, så vi købte 26 ton land, vores ejendom her, hvor vi lavede en bed and breakfast, og samtidig har vi et arbejde inde i Whangarei, hvor vi arbejder med rehabilitering af mennesker med traumatiske hjerneskader.
Jeg er uddannet socialpædagog, og så tænkte jeg, et eller andet må jeg kunne lave. Så jeg fik job på et plejehjem, og det havde jeg i 6 uger. Og det er det værste job, jeg i mit liv har haft. Plejehjem her, de er privatejede, og det er en forretning. Så jeg fik skæld ud hver eneste dag, når jeg havde brugt tid på at vaske folk, og havde spildt tiden med at tale med de gamle, mens jeg gjorde det, i stedet for bare at få dem vasket og spulet og tørret ud, og så ind med den næste. Og når de så var blevet vasket og havde fået morgenmad på ræd og række, så blev det sat op i sådan nogle grønne vinyllænestole og fik et bælte på, så de ikke kunne rejse sig op. Dem, der selv kunne gå rundt, de blev medicineret, så man var sikker på, at de blev i den der lænestol. Og når man så gik, så var det ligesom sådan en gyserfilm. Alle de her gamle hænder, der sådan strakt ud efter en, bare for at få en lille bit smule kontakt. Og jeg tudede simpelthen hver dag, jeg kom hjem, og til sidst siger Ove, det kan jeg simpelthen ikke holde ud at se på. Så må vi leve af de tomater og så hønseæggene. Hellere det, end at du ser sådan ud i hovedet, når du kommer hjem.
I begyndelsen af 90'erne var målet at privatisere hele sundhedssektoren. Man gjorde sig store anstrengelser for, at hospitalerne skulle give overskud.
Health was commodified. It was looked on as being a service, a product that could be measured and organised in the same sort of lines as a factory.
And they brought in business people, and they brought in a system called managerialism, which was designed to run business corporations. And there was a clash of cultures between the business culture and the ethical culture of medicine. and the two were incompatible.
Charge nurses had been replaced by more of a coordinating nurse, so that in fact the control of a budget was not with the director of nursing or with a charge nurse, but with a manager.
When they came in, they looked at the books and they said, 80% of what we're paying is salaries. That's too much. So we'll take all the senior nurses and we get rid of the senior nurses.
It's cheaper to have a smaller number of registered nurses who are paid at a certain level and a larger number of non-registered or caregiver staff that are paid much cheaper. This was a politicisation of nurses in a huge way, that suddenly they were exactly the same as any other worker. You know, they could be dismissed, their wages and conditions were under attack. For the first time we were there on picket lines with the cooks and cleaners and caretakers and grounds people and maintenance people in a way that had never happened before. Instead of being a general hospital, they became divisions. The mental health division, the women's health division, the general surgery division, which meant, if you followed on with the extension of that thought, that these areas could be sold off to private industry.
Some services had to be withheld, so a profit could be declared at the end of the year. The flaw in this, of course, is that no hospital could, in good conscience, have money sitting in their funds and not be providing services. There's a disconnect between the philosophy of the system and the human reality of it.
And there was an example in my hospital where a charge nurse felt that she could save a matter of several $100s out of her annual budget by no longer having paper napkin trays on for the lunch service, you know, so people just got the patients got their tray without a napkin. Madness, complete madness. You know, what did this do? It saved $200 off her annual budget.
A lot of the nurses that I worked with either retired, started up real estate agencies, sold chocolates. I went into mental health nursing again, which is another area of my profession. I was lucky I was able to shift sideways. So it was a really bad time. I was at one stage seen by a consultant psychiatrist because I was convinced that I was depressed, but he said I was quite normal. The new model only lasted a very short time before they had to reconstruct it because they saw how dangerous it was and how incomplete it was.
Det lykkedes ikke at privatisere de offentlige sygehuse, men der er stadig mange områder, der er på private hænder.
Problemet for os er jo, at det er svært at arbejde for et privat firma, som er registreret på børsen og som skal give et overskud til aktionærerne, specielt når det er mennesker, man snakker om.
Jeg har lidt svært ved for eksempel, at vi nogle gange ikke kan lave en ordentlig frokost til vores klienter i bofællesskabet, fordi der simpelthen ikke er penge til det. Og så må de få pandekager til frokost, fordi der skal jo være til aktionærerne. Der skal ikke nødvendigvis være til klienterne.
Den her stamme, der lukker.
De mange nedskæringer havde ført til, at folk, der havde råd, købte privat sygeforsikring.
There was a huge growth in private insurance, private medical insurance at that time, because people saw that the public health system was under huge attack. You know, that there were ward closures, there was downsizing, there was this whole thing about being able to save a huge amount of money on health.
Heroppe i Northland, der er gennemsnitsindtægten for en familie $15.000 om året, det vil sige 60.000 kroner. Og det kan være meget svært at spare op til en forsikring eller en pension. Så er statens holdning, kan man ikke selv spare op til de der ting, jamen så må det være familiens problem at tage sig af.